Zhukov. What are you doing? You're just being an oddball today, are you? Also, I need to make sure you didn't get pooped on by a bird. Not gonna lie. Let me see your face. Let me see you. Hey! No, stop! Sit! Sit. Okay, you didn't. Good. Oh, there's one of you. Oh, flew off. They're like little chickadee birds all up in this tree right here. Making those little chirps. Go get it. Atta boy. Oh, look at you. Come here. You gotta bring it here. Or not, asshole. Does that have to be the asshole, huh? Look at you. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Hey, Zhukov, no. Don't be doing nothing like that. Come on. Come on, Zooks. Don't be sneaking my food. I didn't get no if I was just browsing when I told you were live. Oh, so you just happen to be scrolling YouTube for that to be the case. Not exactly surprised. Not too surprised one bit. I'm not gonna lie, Zhukov's been fucking, just... I don't know, he's been an oddball today. In fact, hold on, I forgot. Zhukov, get back here. He's stressing me. Zhukov. 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 Where'd you go? Come on. Come here, boy. Come here. Come here. Come here, bud, baby. Come on, boy. There you go. Yes, yes, yes. It's the goofiest of boys users all treats. Not today. Fucking put me in a goddamn panic attack, dude. I don't need that. I don't need that shit. Fucking, this morning, I let him outside, let him out for a little bit. I go back inside, get dressed, and I come back out, and he just disappears. Just fucking... bleh. Tried calling for him and would not show up whatsoever, and it was actually to the fucking point where, like, he dead ass was just straight up, like, by some trees on my property, just hiding underneath some trees, just literally just sitting there, just chilling. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? It's like that entire time he was hiding there and just fucking, just chilling, I guess. And this entire time, I'm going for like a 30-minute panic attack trying to fucking find his ass. So, yeah, he's been a little bit of a butt munch today. I just randomly typed in 76 here. Man, that's what popped. Oh, that. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Get away. No, all in all, that was like well over like a while ago, so I'm kind of over that stupid type of shit. So I'm just like, it's a little prick, just fucking just doing that shit. Like, where he'll just straight up not show up or like come to me whenever I'm trying to, like, hey, you wanna you know, come here, bro, come here, buddy. And he was like, nah. Start a fucking revolution, George Washington, circa 70-75. That's what, you know, that's what he actually said, verbatim. He looked at Franklin, Jeff, good old Jeffy, and he's just like, hey, yo, let's just start a fucking revolution. Let's just start it, fuck it. First video game union being formed. Have you ever heard about strippers unionizing? I sent you a link to that. I saw a thing recommended by Status Quo of some sex workers and strippers that were unionizing and shit at one of their strip clubs. And let me try to find it, because it is so fucking awesome. Here, it's dead ass pretty fucking cool. It's LA, yeah, in LA strippers find unionize. Base as fuck. Yeah, dude. Here. Check it out.
Around here.
North Hollywood, California, looks like.
I've been a stripper for 29 years.
Longer than I've been alive. Damn, girl.
I'm a forever stripper, and what that means is I will never stop fighting for the rights of strippers. Never.
I am Wicked, and I was the first Star Garden dancer to come work for them post-pandemic. I've been here the whole time, and I'm gonna be here until we finish this. I did not know when I started here and when I was begging for them to hire girls that this is what was going to be the outcome. I could never have imagined that all the love and care.
Dude, there's a lot of people just honking in the background, just like, yeah, unionized strippers, woo! Like, I love it. Like, this is actually legit pretty fucking awesome.
Into this, building this community, I would receive back tenfold. I am surrounded with love and support from so many quarters, and it fills my soul. And that power is what I'm going to use to continue to push, because I'm going to be here. We are going to be here. We've devoted the next year, however long it takes, to messing with them and messing with their business till they meet with us. Because we are the workers. We are the reason that they have people coming in. Inside there is just too much expensive beer and an empty bar. We are the reason. My name is Lily.
I mean, it's true. A lot of these fucking, like, strip clubs and places, they literally survive just on the virtue that they have chicks going there, because they can easily price gouge you on fucking drinks and shit like that, because I say Teddy, So it's like, I don't care about the big drink. That's probably gonna go to her. So yeah, here, give me like the $20 Jack and Coke or whatever the fuck. Luckily, I don't think Jack and Coke's probably cost that much anywhere, but, I mean, you get the idea, though. Price gouge you for drinks, while getting you in with chicks.
I've been a dancer, picketing longer than I've been a dancer. It's very unique. So it's been 8 weeks since we asked for the most basic safety demands from our employers. This has been some of the most exhausting and rewarding work that I have ever done. Enduring week after week of our employers' silence in the face of our mistreatment is draining. Having to beg picket crossers to acknowledge our abuse and take it seriously is draining.
Those who have been hurt and abused will always be punished for their righteous anger and their earnest reactions to their own suffering.
Jack and Coke at the Pony local strip club is like $9.50. Well, proof's on point. I was maybe like 11 and a half. I was like 10 and a half bucks more expensive, but I mean, honestly, like if it's $9.50 or where you're at, oh my god, yeah, it's probably more like 15 bucks or some shit over here. Like honestly, if we're talking about like a club and shit, not just your typical like standard bar or whatever, yeah.
My life.
A Long Island iced tea, dude, that's a ripoff. Oh my god, see, it proves the point, and honestly, it just shows how much these strip clubs, if anything, exploit their workers, which in this case would be strippers. Which is honestly because, like, oh, if we can just basically price gouge these drinks, pay our women very poorly because they're getting tips by a bunch of dudes, basically, that's the idea. So they can just survive off of tips and shit, which, while, yeah, they might be making pretty decent amount doing that shit, it's like they should still get their fucking basic pay and, some basic goddamn safety conditions when it comes to these places, because there's endless, like, swaths of abuse and harassment and exploitation when it comes to strippers, not just from the, manager and company side of it, but, and from the customer side, too, because they literally don't enforce anything. Or at least, enforce shit that isn't obviously overtly like, I'm gonna literally try to fuck you in the strip club or some shit. Like, unless you're, not doing that, it's just like, you're probably gonna be able to get away with whatever fucking abuse you can do to this shit. Because honestly, I mean, I've heard stories about, like, how there's been strippers have literally been, like, stalked, raped, fucking, all sorts of shit. Just because, their workplace doesn't actually, provide basic safety conditions. And it's like, and honestly, it's not just strippers that face these type of issues, but like depending on certain bars, if they happen to be a little bit more, like adult, in nature and shit, and it's like even then they're gonna have this type of problem, just because they might be a little bit more skinkily clad or some shit. Who work there? They always post on Facebook complaining about long hours and men trying things they shouldn't with the girls. I mean, yeah, and doesn't that just show how much, that, like, a strippers union can actually, probably do a lot of wonders for them? Because, like, if they all have a voice, together to be able to, like, fight against these type of abuses, it goes a lot longer than just one person trying to do it. Like, if it's one worker trying to, call out the abuse, or just multiple different voices that are all separate, it's easy to just fucking undermine that. While with a union, it's way harder to do so because now you have a representative in place for you that's a voice for all of you. On a security at the Pony, they rely on off-duty cops for security instead of hiring bouncers. Are you fucking kidding me? That's a serious workplace safety violation if I've heard one. It's like, let's just have an off-duty cop get a little extra money by just, like, working for us. It's like, oh yeah, like, because that cop probably isn't gonna, like, that cop's totally gonna give a shit about what happens in there. It's like, seriously. I'm supposed to expect that, off-duty cop to actually give a shit. At least a hired bouncer will, because their paycheck directly comes from them, and if they don't do their job, they could get fired. So it's just like, an off-duty cop, though, they're still a cop, they still get to do their job. It's just like, oh, I don't get the extra of being, a temporary bouncer, sit in for a little bit. It's like, they, if anything, they probably are like, eh. And it's like, yeah, I'd rather just, like, pull some random drunk black person over instead of just, like, sitting here by this damn door all day. It's like, so, yeah, frankly, like, I don't trust a cop. At least a bouncer would at least have some incentive to give a shit.
Obviously last night, and it's something that has been present in my mind and my body since I was a child. And in my desperate search for peace and safety, I have often been given no choice but but to sympathize with and make excuses for those who have hurt me. I'm compelled, even tonight, tediously, to try and understand those who operate against us. I think that they must not take our cause seriously because they haven't seen what we've gone through and they just wouldn't understand. But
You think they want top-notch security, but nah. Probably, honestly, because they know a lot of their customers come from that same area. And if they have security that keeps, you know, the very, obviously, very bad neighborhood, poor, impoverished community out, then they're not going to have a lot of business. Because what random, you know, person driving through town is going to, you know, stop there? You know, like, I mean, maybe. There probably will be occasionally, but realistically, not often. So it's like, essentially, there's this cycle of like, hey, because this neighborhood and poverty is so bad here and crime is so rampant, we can't really enforce our security or else we lose like a majority of our customers. So thus, we just basically are going to be okay with improper safety conditions, very improper working conditions abroad and just in general, you know, mass exploitation and undermining of the workers that work there. Not just the strippers too, but also the people that are also bartending and doing that shit. Because if they have, you know, some aggressive, you know, borderline violence or prone to violent type of, you know, drunk guy that, you know, wants to be a little extra with the women and shit, and, you know, and you're pretty much like the only other person there besides a few of the girls, like, what the fuck can you do? Like, I mean, it sounds like it's just set up to be purposely bad. Are not uncommon here. I can only imagine. Like, Portland definitely has neighborhoods like this, but, I mean, I was driving for Portland today, picking up, or exchanging a doghouse that we had, because the one we had was a little too small, so we exchanged it for a bigger one, so now it fits for Zhukov now. But going up there, we were going through a lot of different neighborhoods of Portland, and honestly, it's like, even the worst type of neighborhoods don't even necessarily look that bad, at least the ones we were going through. Obviously, there's definitely probably worse neighborhoods around here and shit, but the worst that, you know, we were seeing around was just like, yeah, some people's yards were maybe unkept and had some shit, and, you know, the roads aren't necessarily as maintained as, you know, some of the more upper, you know, not necessarily upper class, but more of like the upper, you know, like infrastructure more actually maintained and shit. It's like you could just tell certain neighborhoods haven't been kept up on for like over 20 to 30 years, and those are the ones that tend to have the problems. Like ones that are getting revigorated and really honestly just gentrified, like, I mean, those are the ones that tend to be a lot better, and if anything will actually have somewhat of, you know, of an enforcement of, you know, like proper like kind of conditions just in the general like neighborhood overall, you know, to keep things legit, you know, decent. And it's just like, but because of that, a lot of these type of people tend to be NIMBYs, or people that, you know, move into town and shit and aren't necessarily used to like the general culture around here and shit, so they push a lot of that shit out. And thus, you know, it gets worse for a lot of these more poorer communities and these more underdeveloped neighborhoods and shit. And, you know, because they start getting, you know, pumped with a lot more homeless people and a lot more impoverished people. And then it gets even worse. And the cycle just keeps fucking continuing. As, you know, more gentrification expands, the more this gets worse. It's not just, you know, affordable housing problems and all that other shit. It's actually just improper revitalization of the infrastructure in your communities and shit. Because you're also not necessarily taking the socioeconomic conditions of the people that already live there. Because if you're like, put them under the rug and just brush it off to the side, it's like, yeah, guess what? Those problems are still going to be there. They're just not in your neighborhood. Hence, NIMBY. Not in my neighborhood. You know, so it's just like, or not in my backyard. That's what NIMBY means. You know, so it's just like, and that's where a lot of the mentality comes from. It's like, oh, obviously I care about this. I just don't want it being around me. I care about it because I don't want to see it. Like, that's literally the definition of a fucking NIMBY, basically. So they'll just gentrify and push shit off to the side. And a lot of places on the sidelines just get worse. It's like, God forbid we put some affordable housing with the gentrification. At least it actually might be good. Because there could be people that already live there who might be economically disparaged, who can at least still afford some housing and still live in the area. But nah.
Industry longer than I have, longer than most of us. It's not that they haven't witnessed our abuse, it's that they think it's right. Hey everyone, I'm Jordan Palmer, and I
Honestly, yeah, we're kind of talking about that. I mean, honestly, what kind of continues this type of reciprocal cycle of fucking poverty? A lot of the people that own these establishments and businesses and in these areas and shit, they think it's okay. Because it's like, alright, we can at least still make some money off of it, so status quo.
Strippers United! I represent the union and these dancers! Here are some top-tier union-busting tips from a union lawyer herself. If you don't want your workers to unionize, don't steal their wages!
Yeah, true. Damn, that crowd, they lit up.
Come to unsafe working conditions! Fix the hole in the fucking stage!
They have a hole in their stage? Wow, like work conditions are so shit at their club, they have a hole in their stage, so they are likely and viable to fall through and injure themselves. Neat.
Prioritize your workers' safety over your profit! That's right! Talk to your workers like they're human beings! When your workers try to address issues in the workplace, listen to them instead of locking them out! If you don't want your workers to unionize, treat your workers with respect and dignity, just like you expect to be treated.
Yep.
Steve and Jenny thought they could treat.
Honestly, those are the best union bust tips ever, because honestly, it's all implying that, like, hey, actually give a fuck about us, and we won't do this. It's pretty simple. And honestly, it is. Like, there wouldn't necessarily need to be a necessity for things like unions and shit if, you know, if managers and companies and bosses just, you know, just prioritize their workers just a little bit more than their profits. Like, even if, like, profits was, like, their second top priority, like, okay, whatever. Like, you know, at least, you know, like, consider us, because we're the ones that make sure that profit happens in the first place, bitch. Whether, you know, you're a fucking, like, lumberjack, machinist, a stripper, or whoever the fuck, anything in between. You know, the workers are the ones that are making the profits with the fat cats.
They were wrong. Until Steve and Jenny right these wrongs, there will be consequence after consequence after consequence. Steve and Jenny, your dancers have been going easy on you, and you're too fucking stupid to realize that.
Damn.
I'm concerned about a customer exhibiting some red flags, possessiveness and obsession, as well as the manager's habit of allowing customers to stay in the club well past closing time, endangering the dancers by compromising their privacy. It wasn't uncommon for patrons to be allowed to stay late after 2 a.m. and continue to buy lap dances, or not, perhaps just to hang out and chat, while dancers were dressed in their civilian clothes, exchanging bills with the bar and cashing out, and being walked to their car.
That's... like, that don't sound exactly safe. Like, if your establishment is supposed to be fucking closed, anyone who isn't a worker is out. Like, and guess what? You don't get escorted to your car or all this other shit. You're gone. Bye. Bye. See you when we open. It's like...
My concerns to the manager on
it's like, what the fuck?
He mocked.
It's like, since when is it, like, in a stripper's job description, it's like, hey, stay after hours and, like, escort some customers that decide to just, like, schlamber around a little longer and escort them to their vehicle? Like, when is that a part of their job description? Like, fuck, I mean, like, hell, even for, like, you know, like, at a grocery store, like, a courtesy isn't necessarily, like, walking, you know, someone to a car or some shit. Like, the only reason why, you know, they might is just literally to help, you know, unload groceries into it. Like, if it's, like, an old lady or something. Like, it's just, like, what the fuck? Like, there's, like, I'm honestly just, like, kind of, like, fathoms, or, like, I'm just, like, a little, like, flabbergasted, just, like, what? She's like, hey, you know, even though you don't have, like, any reason to do it, you're just gonna start escorting people to their vehicles, you know, even though it's probably not exactly safe. Especially in a strip club environment.
And how I was going to be murdered by,
what? Hold on, we're going back a little bit.
Me to my face, telling me that I was going to be murdered by that customer, and how I was going to be murdered by him. Probably shot as the security guard predicted, offering an anecdote of how the customer expressed interest in going to a gun range with him.
What the fuck? That's not just red flags. That's like a warning smoke signal of like, you know, get the hell out of Dodge. Like, wow, what? What? Since when is it okay for a fucking manager anywhere of any type of just period to be like, oh, you know, that customer over there, he might kill you. Oh, and he has a strong interest in taking you to a gun range too. Have fun. It's like, okay, wow. Honestly, like, this strip club don't need it. It doesn't need just a goddamn union. Like, it needs like a fucking like security force, like, you know, that's only there contracted to protect strippers, and basically that's it. Not the business, just the women. That's it. Like, cause oh my god, holy shit. Are conditions like that where you're at, Venom? Cause goddamn, this is in North Hollywood, in LA.
Me, accusing me of doing something to lead him on, as if whatever safety issue I might have would be my fault.
So gaslight your fucking worker and shit in a very sexist, misogynistic way too, being like, oh, you're the one who led him on, even though for your job you're supposed to dress all sexy and sultry like.
Using my voice in anger in response to these large men telling me that I was going to be killed, and how, and blaming me for it. The boss told me when I showed up for my next shift ready to work that I, quote, went off on staff, unquote, and couldn't be there anymore. Let me tell you why I raised my voice. I was fired in February. In November, just 3 months prior, in Texas, a stripper named Abigail Saldana was murdered by her customer Stanley, who was obsessed and possessive of her, and shot her to death after following her out of the club where she worked at, Rick's Cabaret. The club managers told the police that Abigail had told them that she was concerned about this customer, and that she was being stalked and harassed, and that she felt that she was in danger.
And of course, the management literally did not do a fucking thing about it.
And they did nothing. Perhaps they laughed at her. Perhaps they told her that he was going to kill her. Maybe they gaslit her and accused her of doing something to lead him on. Maybe they told her how he would do it, with a gun. This isn't a joke. Those of us who work in this industry know this. We know that as much as we may love this job, it comes with risk.
I'm so happy that maybe I was just a fucking blip on what we are today. On the radicalization that we have today, I'm hoping that maybe just a little bit I could have had some impact on that. Hell yeah!
Hey, you do.
So 8 weeks ago, it's been.
I mean, honestly, it's like this just shows that like strippers all over this fucking country need it so bad when it comes to unions. Like, and it's about fucking time that like sex work in general is, you know, becoming more normalized to the point it's starting to expand into the labor space. And that's just like fucking awesome to me. It's like, I mean, because they're fucking workers too. If like, especially if you. I mean, like, there's the old saying that, like, prostitution is the oldest profession in human history. And guess what? If it's a profession, it's work. So, it's like, if that's the case, then it's probably one of the oldest jobs humanity's ever been doing, outside of, like, hunter and gathering and shit. So, it's just like, I mean, the idea that, you know, it's taking this fucking long to, you know, kind of start actually, like, acknowledging that and putting some actualization to it. I mean, it's a long time fucking coming. And it's just good. Yeah, you know what? Hold on. There's not too much to this. We'll keep playing it.
We delivered a petition asking for safer working conditions, and we had 2 of our coworkers fired for bringing up safety concerns. And so we delivered this petition demanding their jobs back, demanding changes to their policies, And the following day, we came back to work, and they wouldn't let us work. So we've been locked out here. It's been 8 weeks, but we've been picketing every week, turning customers away. We've been really effective here on the picket line, and we're just keeping the push on. We just recently announced last week that we are seeking voluntary recognition as Strippers United, which will be the first independent union by and for strippers.
And so will that just be with Star Garden here, or will that be in line with other strippers at other locations?
For now, we're looking to unionize this workplace.
Okay.
And then from there, Strippers United will be established. We'll work on other campaigns.
So you were telling me that the last...
Awesome. And honestly, that's just how, like, especially these national unions that we know about today, like the AFL-CIO, for example, that's really how it started. It's like they just started with one workplace and just got themselves at least established somewhere, and they just went from there. I mean, honestly, especially with something like this, I could see this catch on very fucking quickly. Especially in places like in Portland, honestly. Because, like, Vegas? Oh, yeah, this shit will spread in Vegas. How many strip clubs are in fucking Vegas? I mean, come on. I mean, not just that, but even with prostitution, like, it can even be taking steps further with that. I mean, and in Portland, there's, like, I think it used to. I don't know if it's the case now, but I think there, at one point, Portland had the most strip clubs per capita, at least for a city, in an urban area. I don't know if that's the case now, or if it's still the same, but at least for a while that was the case. And it's just like, I mean, knowing that, yeah, there's plenty of places, even here, that can definitely, take very strong advantage of some shit like this.
Attempt at unionizing a strip club was back in the 90s, so, and then it just went away.
Really? Oh, well, hold on. Hey, let's delve more into that. I want to hear more.
Attempt at unionizing a strip club was back in the 90s, so, and then it just went away, and now it's back again. But what happened in the 90s?
Well, it's interesting. So Lusty Lady was a peep show in San Francisco. There were other clubs that unionized at the same time, but the Lusty Lady endured. They unionized in 1996 and were union up until 2013. And actually, the founder of Strippers United, the labor advocacy organization, who've been supporting us in this effort, is Antonia Crane, who was a member of the Lusty Lady Union. So she has brought this movement forward and carried the legacy forward, and we are carrying it on, and we're going to make a big push to make some real change here.
Thanks for watching.
Fuck yeah. And you know what? I hope and I do think that they will succeed. Some of my commie friends are showing their internal anti-feminism by saying stripper union is useless because stripping won't exist under their version of communism. Says who? Literally says who? Like, especially, share this video with them, because a lot of these women express how they love their job. They love doing what they do. They love, showing their body in that way. Like, there's women out there, not just women, but men too, just people out there that just love expressing themselves that way and like getting paid for it. And like making that a part of their job. Like, just on that virtue, just because there's just people who are just going to be like that, it's just going to be the case that you're going to have strippers, you're going to have prostitutes, or sex workers just really abroad, because people like doing that. People, again, there's a reason why it's the oldest profession in human history. It's like, or at least just in mankind and period, because it's kind of true. I mean, at the end of the day, hey, you don't really have anything, but you want something I want. Well, suck my dick. It's just like, I mean, it's kind of like the whole Vash's Coconut Island thing. It's like, if you got a dude who has all the coconuts, and you're the only other person there, and he wants some of the coconuts, and he will say he'll give you some for sexual favors, it's like, yeah, you're probably gonna do it. Because, hey, I guess I gotta have to work for the coconuts, I guess. You know what I mean? So it's just like, there's a reason why, there's a lot of analogies that always, go to, I guess, sex like that at the end of the day, because it's just, it's a very cut and dry and old, again, it's the oldest profession. I'd lick ignorance coconut. Jesus Christ. Considering the topic, I mean, I'm not surprised, that was gonna drop. But yeah, I mean, I also did see about, I think Raven Software got unionized as well. So, yeah, I mean, I did see that. I didn't see the video of it. Was it on Human's Report? I think it was, wasn't it? Did he upload today? Yeah, he did. But no, it wasn't him. Somebody did. One of my lefty YouTubers that I watch does, or did. Was it Secular Talk? No. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Who was it? I know I saw a video thumbnail for this. Oh, the Rational National. Check him out. Let's see. Are you the one who did it? Yeah, you were. It was him. First major video game union wins vote. Yeah, let's watch it.
Consistently good news we are getting nowadays is the continued unionization of workplaces, and we are now seeing more
we were literally just discussing that with the strippers union
of that in a new industry
United
that up to this point has been largely untouched by organizing workers. So this is now the second successful union vote in under a year. I will show you what the first one was, I will show you what this big one is, and I will also discuss the company that, of course, was trying to stop this effort and what they did to try and stop it. But more on that later. So first, in a 19-3 vote, QA workers, quality assurance workers at Raven Software have voted in favor of unionizing, becoming the first major gaming union in North America. Now,
fuck yeah. Who's the three people that are like, nah, guys, hey, look, guys, this is bad. Like, we shouldn't do this, guys. Like, who is the weird three yokel dumb fucks that were just like, no, guys, let's not do this. I mean, it's like, you know, hey, they get it whether they like it or not, but, you know, hey. I mean, it's like, what convinced them otherwise? I'm wondering, like, I'm more curious about, like, the three people that were against it more so than everyone who's in favor of it, because it's pretty self-explanatory why they're in favor of it. I'm just curious about the person who was just like, nah, fam, let's not do that. Those three people that are just like, nah.
First place to unionize in this industry, in North America at least, was Vodio Games. So late last year.
Oh, I actually remember this. I think Vodio, like, the management of this company was actually, like, totally okay with it. They're like, oh, y'all want to unionize? Okay. I think this company was actually okay with it.
They voted to unionize. They have 13 employees, so a small workplace.
Oh, yeah, Vodio management voluntarily recognized it. Yeah, so, yeah, this is the company that was... This is, like, one of the rare companies out there that are like, oh, you want a union? Okay. That's okay. That's fine. Okay, we'll recognize it. Yeah, here you go. Like, this is like one of the rare companies that are like, that will actually be chill with you if you're, you know, gonna be like that. This is like a diamond in the rough type of company, which honestly I think shows that, like, ethically, you know, Vodio is probably legitimately a pretty good gaming developer. Because if they actually are, you know, pretty reasonable with the workers to the point that it wasn't even a fight for the workers to unionize, they were just like, can we unionize? And they're just like, sure. Like, I mean, it's just like, there isn't really much of a fight to be had at that point. It's like, oh, okay, well, here's what we want. Okay, we recognize it. Here you go. It's just like, oh, well, okay. So, you know, it's like, I mean, it's like, shit. I mean, it's actually weird, but it actually is nice, you know, when shit like that happens, you know, honestly. Because when I heard about this initially, when it happened last year, I was like, oh, well, you know what? Hey, if there doesn't need to be a fight, that's honestly literally the best, like, most optimal outcome. So, you know what? They, like, these, you know, the workers that did this literally got the great, like, best possible outcome for themselves, just because they just had a management in their company that was just totally chill with it, which again is such a diamond in the rough these days.
Voluntarily recognized the union. This is apparently a great place to work. They treat their employees with respect, and you can see that just by them voluntarily, you know, accepting this and not trying to fight it like every large company is doing with these recent union votes, be it Starbucks, be it Amazon, be it Activision Blizzard, as I'll get to. Now, in terms of why this vote is so massive, Raven Software is owned by Activision Blizzard, one of the largest gaming companies in the world.
And both Blizzard and Activision are very strongly anti-union and pro-union busting and shit. Because honestly, they're, like, outside of Vodio and now this, there isn't any, like, gaming developing unions at all. So like, and these companies would prefer it that way. Like, honestly, another company that definitely needs to see some union efforts is Rockstar. Because, honestly, like, even though, yeah, it might take longer for a game to develop, like Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, because obviously the work and the product that came out from the workers that made that game is like, it's fucking phenomenal. And honestly, there's to this day people who have found like cut content and like, you know, deleted scenes and some deleted missions and some shit like that, where it's like you can tell that that they were working on, or they did have, but because of management's constraints had to cut shit. Like you can see where, you know, over time, you know, it's to this day where it's like in Red Dead Redemption 2, like it's even though it's so full, it's still not a complete game, because, you know, it's like they were rushed and heavily overworked and had to take, you know, constraints and limit, you know, shit, you know, because of management's requirements and expectations. And it's like, and if they had like a better representation, you know, to have better working conditions and better hours and actually have a negotiation on deadlines as well, it's just like, I mean, you know, you might get a more fledged out game. And despite people, you know, and the consumer bitching and whining that they want to get it already, it's better to not concede to that, you know, because honestly, all that angst and all that shit builds up, you know, to something that's a lot more fulfilling. Because you won't get a game like No Man's Sky where everyone, but hey, that was just my dad walking away. Chill, dude. But it's just like, I mean, when, you know, because when you have a game developers like No Man's Sky that promise and, you know, want this big full thing, and everybody's like, you know, like angsty as fuck to, you know, see the game, and they just, you know, rush it and then just release it, then it's like, look what happened to No Man's Sky. I mean, it literally got fucked on endlessly because it was the biggest, glitchiest, like, failed launch for a game, like, at least I think for alpha mode ever. Like, I think legit ever. Like, it was, I mean, I think at this point they fledged it out and actually made it a pretty decent game, but it's kind of like a too little too late type of situation where it's like, you basically left such a sore, sour, disgusting taste in people's mouths that, like, a lot of people just don't even want to bother with it. Like, frankly, I probably don't. It's like, because, honestly, why would I trust those developers? Fallout New Vegas is also a hard banger despite basically being on the same engine as Fallout 3. Well, because it was just, like, the engine for Fallout 3 was just kind of fledged out and polished. Also made by Obsidian, yeah. Just more proof that Obsidian makes gaming bangers even under Church. Even under Crunch. Oh, yeah. Well, because, because honestly, even under crunch time, you know, Obsidian probably doesn't do a lot of the same type of shit that a lot of these other companies do, where it's like, oh, we're going to be cutting a lot of shit. It's more like, hey, you know, we got to, like, you know, kind of finish up some stuff, so if you have to make the environment a little more basic, that's fine, you know, let's make sure the story's good, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, because there's, you know, like, even for, like, New Vegas, or, like, you know, Knights of the Old Republic 2, there was definitely some elements where it's, like, it kind of feels, not, like, empty, but, like, you know, not, like, full, you know, like, like in a full-on environment. Like, it kind of feels like a half environment. And it's just like, I mean, you know, I feel like, you know, they, you know, and honestly, it's like, it doesn't really make that big of an impact, you know, it's like, just feels kind of empty-ish. But, either way, I mean, these games are still heavily, like, New Vegas, Coder 2, like, these are still very heavily loved on upon by me, especially, and by a lot of people, because despite that, I mean, the story and the actual game itself is fucking great. Do you need some help with that? Hmm? Do you need some assistance with that?
Yeah, if you just throw that in the trash, it would help.
I mean, that's... Yeah, I mean, yeah, might as well. I mean, just hearing all the grumbling, moaning over this... Oh, yeah, that actually's got some weight to it. Holy shit, I can see why.
That's above my...
Yeah, this is a little weighty, yes. My goodness.
Plus the fact that stiff as a board today hurt my health.
Yeah, well, that did have some weight to it. I'm sure it didn't help. Well, damn, you're just kind of going shaky, shaky, shake. Get away from my P6. Get away from those.
This one's much easier to carry.
Well, it's an empty bag. I would hope so.
Acquired.
I'm still learning secrets about Coder 2. For example, Scion, the Sith that comes back to life each time you kill him. He falls in love with you if you play as a female while loathing you as a man. Oh, really? In my first playthrough, I was a male character, so I just kind of assumed he was just like this pure, angry, spiteful, loathing, just nihilistic fucking just embodiment of just... Basically, just the embodiment of, like, existential, nihilistic, loathing doomerism, basically. Just like the darkest of doomerisms. Like, I kind of see myself as, like, you know, a more optimistic doomer, in a way, I guess, because, yeah, the world's fucked, probably going to be heavily fucked, but I do have optimism in a lot of different ways when it comes to a lot of variables. And, yeah, basically Sion is essentially literally the polar opposite of that. He sees nothing that's hopeful or optimistic, and it quite frankly, literally will loathe the shit out of anything that is even close to it. Basically, right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I know about Sion, he's, you know, at least to a certain degree and shit, and... I mean, he basically, in a lot of ways, he essentially is the embodiment of pain. I mean, hence why he has, you know, a lot of his fucking feelings and shit. Nihilus is basically a force entity. Yeah. He's got a badass mask. I wish you could keep it as like a trophy or some shit. That'd be pretty cool.
So, it'll be interesting to see how that process works, if that'll have any effect on this vote or this union going forward. But of course, Activision Blizzard and Raven Games, known for many big game franchises, including Call of Duty. So Raven has worked on Call of Duty games, and these quality assurance workers often are the ones that are most...
You can keep it, but you aren't allowed to wear it. Oh, really? I don't remember that, but... I'll have to play it again.
Understaffed and underpaid. So it only makes sense that they're the first ones here to form a major union. Now, a little more on their work and their comments here after this vote. So from Vice here, in video games, the Quality Assurance Department helps identify bugs and glitches and is often underpaid and understaffed. The union is called the Game Workers Alliance.
GWA, like it.
Our election, it is our...
It's kind of similar to like the UWA in its name, like the United, or the UAW. It's kind of similar acronym almost. United Automotive Workers of America, Gamers Workers Alliance. Yeah, at least acronym-wise, it's almost close. It's just kind of flipped the A into W.
These foundational
values. And have a G instead of U.
On which our union stands, said members of the Game Workers Alliance.
I like union acronyms.
In a statement. Our
CW,
biggest hope is that our union serves as inspiration for the growing movement of workers organizing at video game studios to create better games and build workplaces that reflect our values and empower all of us. We look forward to working with management to positively shape our working conditions and the future of Activision Blizzard through a strong union contract. So, of course, this vote has to be recognized by Amazon or by Activision Blizzard. We're going to have to see.
I doubt it.
Do that. My guess is they will try to fight it, but we have to wait.
Honestly, considering that it's like, what was it, like 19 to 3 or some shit like that, or something. I know it was very overwhelming, but it was just like, considering how it's like such a small amount of people, like, why wouldn't they? Like, if it was like a major like gaming development department or at least like an area where, or like, you know, one of their buildings where it has like 100+ workers there that did it, I feel like, you know, they would especially fight it then too, but, you know, would have to be more public. Like, in a way, this one could be more quietly just brushed under the rug and like, So, I mean, it's still good that it's happening, and the fact that it is going on in the first place is, you know, phenomenal. And it's not like it's going to stop. Like, I mean, considering that, you know, we're seeing the trend on industries and workplaces that haven't really seen unionizations, or at least, you know, collectivization of workplaces like now, like, you know, strippers with gaming development and Starbucks and shit. Like, there's all sorts of places that haven't seen these things in a long while, or really at all. Should have vote to join the union, but I agree it's good it's happening. Yeah, like, I'm still wondering about the 3 people that were like, nah, fam, they ain't good. Because I'm wondering if it's like they got scared. Because honestly, the biggest scaremonger is, oh, you're going to have to put some money in your paycheck into some dues. Like, that's always, like, the biggest thing. It's like, oh, I don't want my I don't want, like, a hunk of my paycheck going into that, whatever the fuck. Like, honestly, the biggest thing that I always hear about, when it comes to scaremongering is usually that. But it's like, there has to at least be some dues in order to make sure that the union functions, because they obviously need money to, keep up with maintaining at least, their, existence and influence. Hopefully it spreads to all major developers and they get better pay benefits and we get better games. We will. Honestly, shit like this does help give us better games in the long run. And if anything, could potentially spread into a lot of indie developers, because, I could see, like, a lot of indie game development companies maybe having, like, getting a part of, like, the GWA and actually having, like, kind of like a coalition, in a sense, to where there could be, like, more mass collaboration with indie developers, and essentially because of that, operate like they would be like a major developer and be able to not just collaborate with games that one company's working on, but do that back and forth and create, like, a game, separate, and actually be able to have, like, legit teams, put into a place where there could be better, time management and shit. Our worker-owned co-ops. Yeah, honestly, it's like a lot of indie gaming developers are already kind of halfway there. So I think, like I said, if the GWA ends up spreading, I think it would be a pretty good, ripe opportunity for the gaming developers, to kind of get together and kind of, do a little coalition type of thing with it.
Contract. But this is the first step, and it's fantastic to see this. And I'll get to more on what Activision Blizzard was doing to try and stop this process, including right now. So they first began by contesting whether a small group of QA workers constituted a viable bargaining unit.
No shit they do.
Arguing that if Raven Software wants to unionize, then the entire studio should unionize. But QA workers are sort of their own thing, and they tend to be the most overworked, understaffed, and underpaid. So it makes sense that they would go forward with this vote themselves. And the NLRB agreed, ruling in the workers' favor, setting up the vote that was ultimately successful. Now, in terms of what else Amazon did, they hired a union-busting firm about a year ago to try and thwart any effort to unionize. You're seeing a lot more companies trying to do this now in preparation, as they are seeing what is happening at places like Starbucks, Amazon. Now they fear this is coming for them, and it is. So ultimately, it makes...
Isn't QA workers bug testers? Yep, they test and, check out bugs and fledge out issues in games. Which honestly makes me think, do you think a lot of bug testers and QA workers in places like in EA and shit like that purposely fuck up a lot of different games like Battlefield 5, for example, just, to try to fuck with EA? Be like, hey, we did our best, but you put us on time constraints, and this is the best we could do under such time. Wink. It's just like, it makes me wonder, it's like, cause you can fuck with these companies as workers and get together and shit, without necessarily trying to go union route. It definitely helps to make sure you have it back in with you. But you can definitely, fuck with them in certain ways that, where they don't necessarily catch, a total whiff of, out of it. Like, not catching every single bug and, kind of not making the game 100% fledged out like it should.
For these executives to want to protect their, their own wealth, their own interests, but also, even apart from that, I think it benefits them to accept these workers, to allow them to unionize. When you have happy workers, your company is likely to be a lot more efficient, more effective, and just a more desirable place. So to try and stop any effort like this, all you are doing is hurting the workers, hurting the morale, which ultimately will hurt, I think, the end product. But there's more of this from Activision Blizzard, so they also sent out emails trying to fearmonger about union efforts. So Activision executive to organizing workers, please don't unionize. So,
Oh, I love that. Oh my god, I love this little headline. Activision exec to organize workers. Please don't unionize. Please, 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 please. Fucking with EA like that might be dangerous because studios that underperformed under EA have a habit of being dissolved. Well, yeah, that's why you have to be kind of sly about it.
Activision executive to organizing workers, please don't unionize. So, going on to fearmonger, warning workers about the vague consequences of unionizing. And guess who sent this email? A former Trump administration official. So
Wow. Just oh yeah, so hey, Activision, it sounds like y'all want to try to, stop the unionizations. I used to work for Trump, buddy. I can help you with that. It's like, oh no, oh my god, wow. Well, I'm not surprised, to be fucking frank.
Bula Tao is a Donald Trump crony that Activision Blizzard brought on as chief administrative officer. During his time in politics, Bula Tao reportedly acted as former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's attack dog, at one point bullying former Inspector General Steve Linick as Linick investigated the Trump administration. So this is the kind of...
I'm not buying their products anymore. I know on Etsy I found a shop that has these little small stickers, and they come in bulk. You get I think 5, 10, 50, 100 and shit like that. But basically it basically says this company supports fascism, and a few examples that were used on the pictures were the Goya beans and shit like that. So if anything, I want to get some of these, and I'm just gonna be all right, this Activision thing, bloop, just stick it on that. Oh, basically every product in Walmart, bloop, just plop it on there. Just oh my god, ugh. Because, good lord, I mean, the fact that, I'm just not surprised, but, yeah. I mean, it's gonna be hard to, not buy, Activision or Blizzard products because they own so much of the fucking game development. Don't give me those stickers, Lamau, I spread those around town. Honestly, Etsy is the spot to find, random little, leftist stickers that you can kind of plaster around town, because I'm gonna put a little file on Etsy just specifically with those favorites on there, just so I can buy a bunch of them in bulk and just slowly spread them around town. I wouldn't be the only one though.
Rules that have no soul and do not mind trying to bust up unions and destroy lives, overwork, underpay. So this is why Raven Software decided to go forward with this vote. So a few reasons here from Vice. One major reason this vote happened was poor treatment of the workers by Activision Blizzard in 2021, prompting a strike that lasted weeks and ended following a decision to hold a vote about forming a union and entering negotiations with Activision Blizzard over a contract. All the while, Activision Blizzard was dealing with the fallout from the state of California, filing a lawsuit against the company after investigating its toxic workplace culture. Also in recent months, Raven Software workers accused the publisher of curiously shifting staff around to thwart organizing, and just today, Bloomberg reported that U.S. Labor Board prosecutors determined Activision Blizzard illegally threatened staff and enforced a social media policy that conflicts with workers' collective action rights. An Activision spokesperson told Bloomberg the allegation...
this is just a basic union busting tactic going on. That's why, especially back in the day when it came to workers that were trying to unionize and shit, they would go into, basically, the beer hall or or in their own homes, or in just, little, town halls that they will kind of collectively bundle their money up and rent out for a night. They will, this is, the reason why they did this type of shit, because company bosses would always find ways to try to, if we happen to see them, pretty much, anywhere that isn't in their own private home, then we're going to try to, stop them from getting together and, talking some union work and shit like that. We don't like that. If one of the devils of gaming culture, Activision. Yep. I mean, on top of that, I mean, it's just like, you know, it's considering that they use, you know, the same type of tactics and shit when it comes to trying to make sure that the workers stay, you know, like, under their dole. I mean, it's not even really that surprising to me. I mean, especially when it comes to a type of industry that's, you know, for all intents and purposes, kind of new when it comes to, you know, like, work and labor. Like, I mean, you know, making video games and doing video game development has only been around, like, what, since, like, maybe, like, the 70s, but at least for the 80s and shit. Like, I mean, it's, you know, all in all, it's still relatively kind of a newer thing. So, it's never been, like, explored of this type of shit. And these companies, you know, just seriously do not want to see any of that type of shit because they want to kind of keep their type of fucking grind going, where maximization of profits matter more than making sure that their, you know, workers that develop their fucking games at least get treated, you know, somewhat fairly and actually have decent, respectable hours and shit instead of being worked, like, over 100+ hours a week, like with fucking Rockstar. Like, I mean, you know, which, like, I know that, you know, sometime down the line, I don't know when specifically, but eventually Rockstar is going to see this shit too. Like, they're going to start seeing this a lot, especially when, you know, there's going to be more crunch time going on with some of the games that they're currently developing, which could be like GTA 6 or, you know, who knows, some other game probably. So once especially crunch time starts going on with that, considering what's happening not just in the labor space abroad, but specifically with the gaming industry, it's going to catch on there too.
So I have to say, one of the other big positives, recent positives, also has to do with this. It's just the National Labor Relations Board actually looking at the facts and ruling based on those facts. So you're seeing a lot of this.
I mean, I don't know who's, like, leading the National Labor Board right now. Like, but yeah, honestly, like, if there's anything out of the current administration that is good, it's that. It's the National Labor Relations Board. Because, like, when it comes to a lot of this union action, they've been significantly more in favor and on the side of workers, pretty much in, like, in every one of these type of fucking unionization efforts and shit versus the company. So, I mean, if they weren't there actually, you know, defending the workers' rights in these cases, in these instances, like, a lot of this would be significantly more stifled. Like, if anything, probably wouldn't even have happened.
Be towards these massive companies, which to me is surprising. I mean, generally,
1 to 10, how screws Biden in midterms? Midterms? Like, these coming midterms? Man, I honestly don't fucking know. Like, there's a lot of shit that the Republicans are doing that are fucking themselves over, but the Democrats have been doing that for, like, forever now. So, frankly, as it stands now, I really don't fucking know. I guess a 5, because that's kind of, like, in the middle. Like, I mean, it could go either way, I guess. Like, honestly, I kind of see it as it stands right now, either way. Like, I think a lot of more progressive and leftist-style Democrats will actually start, you know, gaining more seats, but I don't really know how significant that will actually be, because I don't think we'll see as much as that as we like to think, you know, outside of the ones we already know about, like John Fetterman, for example, when it comes to things like Senate and Congress and shit. Though there are, at least for Congress, there at least are, you know, a pretty decent number. Like, Jamie McLeod-Skinner is very, very, very likely, because we still have to wait for the goddamn results on that shit. But, you know, like, she's very significantly likely to win the 5th Oregon Congressional District and usurp the Joe Manchin of Congress, fucking Kurt Schrader. 7-term incumbent shitbag jack-off. So it's just like, I mean, like, there's, you know, that, there's plenty of other, you know, people throughout the country, like in Pennsylvania, like Summerlee's another one. You know, so there's a lot of others out there, so, I mean, at least on that front, I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think, but with what the Republicans are doing, especially kind of, you know, especially the old guard Republicans having, you know, seeking the fucking MAGA crowd blood, like, you know, they first went for the blood of Madison Cawthorn and sacrificed him to the altar, and now they're looking at Lone Boebert, so I don't know what the fuck is going to happen with that. Like, I mean, how much of the influence of, like, Trumpian style, like, Republican conservatism, at least in politics specifically, is going to really be there? because frankly, it's not that much fucking different to the old guard. It just isn't, especially considering the fascist Supreme Court and how the Republicans are all lovey-dovey about them anyway. So it seems like, you know, the whole Trumpian shit is just kind of a facade anyway. But I mean, like, people seem to think like, oh, because they're like soft muffin nobody looking fucks, you know, they're gonna try to basically, you know, be a little more quiet and not do as much harmful shit. And it's like, do you really? It's like, I mean, I feel like that's just kind of some naive thinking, honestly. Because the dude who usurped Madison Cawthorn, like, outside of, like, his civility or whatever the fuck, I guarantee you it's not going to be that much fucking different. Like, really. Like, oh, he's quieter and doesn't have a loud mouth. It's like, oh, wow, what a difference. Do you think Biden will go for a second term or try to force Kamala on us? I really honestly don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen for 2024 as it stands right now. I'll have to see. We'll have to see more of the fog of war unfold, I guess. Yeah, so. Because at least, like, I mean, like, I don't know. I really honestly just don't. Like, I really don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. Because, frankly, they just need somebody who's actually, like, you know, at least fucking competent. Like, seriously. I don't even care if they're, like, Obama competent, but, like, Jesus. Because at least Obama had, like, a couple things here and there that were at least, like, kind of okay. But it's fundamentally overshadowed by literally everything else that he did with that was fucking shit, so. I'd still vote Bob over Trump any day. No, I wouldn't. I mean, as much as it'd probably be a little more tempting, no, I still wouldn't. I guess you say I have more integrity than you, boy. I just got a little bit more integrity. Oh shit, Hassan was with Adam Conover? The crossover we didn't know we wanted but needed. That's the first comment I see. I actually kind of like Adam Conover. Last time I saw him do stuff online was fucking doing like a podcast with Joe Rogan, and basically he's like everybody hated him. Well, I was listening to him like, I don't see what's wrong with him. He seems okay. Like, everybody's like, he's just an SJW woke guy. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh my fucking god. Here we go. Actually, I kind of want to check this out a little bit.
Girls MBs, Adam Conover is here. Am I saying that right? Conover?
Yeah, you got it right, man.
Of Adam Ruins Everything originally, and now you have a new Netflix show coming out.
Got a new Netflix show called The G Word. Yeah, it's out right now.
Called The G Word, that is out right now. And
The G Word, huh?
Adam,
I've seen Adam Ruins Everything. I think that was on True TV, I think? The G Word. Uncle Sam's all, like, kind of, tied up in, like, latex gimp tape, so I'm already intrigued. The G Word. What's the G Word? See, like, I'm intrigued. I actually want to, I'm gonna steal my mom's Netflix and watch this a little bit.
G Word that is out right now, and, Adam has been on Twitch for a while, so I was like, let's have him on.
Hell yeah. I got...
Let's kind of skip the intro part. Free Guy movie. Here, I want to see this. Let's skip this Jordan Peterson thing.
Himself as like this ultra rational like man of science when
And it's super masculine too.
yeah, when the form of psychology he does is basically fucking astrology. Like and astrology is fine, I got no problem with astrology, but just like all of his shadow self bullshit is the least, it's literary analysis. He might as well be like a poet. And he's acting like
You're saying
anything
he
that
sucks.
says means that,
Fellas, ladies love astrology. Jordan Peterson's doing the astrology of psychology. I don't know. I'm pretty.
Damn. Honestly, that is pretty neatly put on him. Where it's like he sounds like, you know, he's like some poetic, like, you know, like astrology dude, but just doing it for psychology, essentially.
Yeah, got him. Freaking got him. Have you ever? Wait, okay. What do you have to say? We're gonna talk about Jordan Peterson for a second. Hold on. I'm trigger warning. Jordan Peterson.
Get spicy.
Jordan Peterson maps of meaning readout coming. Chad already knows what I'm about to show, but
These men are so up their own asses when it comes to women. I know. I've seen a few of them, and they're just I don't even know, bro.
Me.
It's gonna fucking blow your mind. This is an actual audiobook of Maps of Meaning. This is a very profoundly important part of Maps of Meaning. Let's take a
Maternal
look at what he has to
grandmother
say.
sitting by the bank of a
No, okay, I know what this is. I know the audio clip he's about to play. I actually don't even want to hear it. Venom, have you heard this audio? Where Ben Shapiro apparently, had a dream, I think. I don't even, no, okay, I'm gonna try to compose myself.
saw my maternal grandmother sitting by the bank of a swimming pool, which was also a river. Her genital region was exposed dimly. It had the appearance of a thick mat of hair. She was stroking herself absent-mindedly. She walked over to me, with a handful of pubic hair compacted into something resembling a large artist's paintbrush. She pushed this at my face. I raised my arm several times.
I still hear it!
Hand. Finally, unwilling to hurt her or interfere with her any further, I let her have her way. She stroked my face.
Oh my god, this is new information! I didn't go far! Oh no! Ah!
I looked at her
Put the song in the back.
face and said, "Yes, Grandma, soft."
Unbelievable.
Oh, okay. Oh my god. I still was able to hear it. I honestly could not bear it, and I still heard it. Oh, this is painful. Yes. This is Ben Shapiro's wet dream. No, this is Jordan Peterson's wet dream. And Jordan Peterson literally said that and wrote it. Oh my god. I'm actually kind of shaking a little bit. Oh my god. What the fuck? What is our world? What is our world?
Tell me, this guy had a nervous breakdown? Hard to believe. I mean, like, it's fucking crazy that he, like, this guy was ever going after, like, postmodern Marxism as being, when this guy is fucking, this guy's crazier than Freud. Like, he's from the 19th century with this shit. He's just describing a dream?
The last time women were actually free. You know, before birth control made them think that they could be happier pursuing capitalist desires instead of staying at home.
Oh man,
he's right though.
A couple of years ago, I had the unfortune of finding out that we had the same agent. That my touring agent was also his touring agent.
Oh god.
For a moment I was like, man, he's doing some big fucking theaters. Maybe I can. And then I was like, I gotta leave my agent. I can't work with someone who's working with this guy. He's too fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean that just means your agent is popping off. I would have stayed with him.
I would have stayed with him.
This dude was like, this was like booking arenas, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, why would you elect to put that in your book? I don't know. And like, do you feel no sense of like guilt, shame, like being a fucking weirdo when you read it out loud for your audiobook?
Unbelievable. Yeah, to like not have a
honestly, I just can't say anything right now. I'm just kind of speechless because I am still like, the first time I heard it, actually trying to process it. I honestly, I can't process this. Like, I just, my brain, like, the neurons refuse. Like, it's refusing to process this. Like, oh my god. Okay, well, yeah.
Yourself and go, did he have an editor? Did anybody read this and go, you know, Jordan, the story about the grandma with the pubic hair, was it?
Kind of weird.
What was your thought including that? I mean, maybe we don't need to include everything in. This also is the book of his that was like a catastrophic failure, right? Like it's like a 1,000-page book. He spent his life's work and
Yeah.
it made no impact on anybody anywhere.
I think
In the Eternal Worlds of Cleveland Brown. That's nasty. That's nasty.
when
That's nasty.
also think like he's their god will turn around and be like, he's actually an incredibly well published author, like he's really good, and it's like, no, the only thing that like popped off in his career is when he carbon copied like every self-help book in existence to then tie it back to like an objectivist conservative worldview.
What's completely crazy is the kind of like bullshit that he does is the part of academia that right-wingers fucking hate and try to make fun of and destroy. You know, anything that is like somewhat literary or like, you know,
that's why Jordan Peterson honestly is just another exception to the rule when it comes to this type of shit. Where it's like, oh hey, you know, I'm actually fucking, you know, like, even though I'm part of academia, I'm one of the good ones. And honestly, like, a lot of the upper echelon of conservatism in America is honestly built on fucking academia. Encyclopedia, of course it is.
Science. It's just like social fucking blah blah. And that's what, you know, the ivory tower academics with their shitty theories. Like, how is this any different from Marxism or anything else?
Well, you don't understand.
On an academic level, like it's why is anybody paying for this to happen? It's very hard to defend.
Well, you don't understand. It's because he's like telling stem cells that they should feel comfortable with their misogynistic attitude towards women because you know it's society's fault. He's like offering a lot of comfort in the same way that you know, collectivists are offering comfort to you in your own personal failures by telling you you're a victim to the system. And he does that basically for incels, which is like, you know, traditional masculinity is vilified, and like if we only went back to, if we did a return to tradition, then like you'd be able to get pussy finally.
Yeah, it's a very simple message that he cloaks in a lot of shit that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, actually, low-key, I was kind of hearing that from one of my friends earlier today when I was hanging out with him a little bit, because he was talking about how, like, you know, even though I agree, you know, pretty much with everything a lot of people on the left say, you know, I always get this, like, oh, you're a big white guy, man. You scare me, man, type of thing. It's like, honestly, it's like, frankly, at least every time I've hung out with him, I personally just don't really necessarily see it. I guess maybe in, like, an academic level, because he's been at PCU and shit like that. It's like, maybe there, but, like, you know, you want to know I call people that, you know, are kind of like that? Just assholes. You know, so fuck them, you know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it just seems like, you know, taking things a little bit more too literally, or I guess maybe too personally in a sense, and then using this as a way to kind of justify it again and give a little bit of a comfort to it. Because he is, at least to a soft degree, kind of a Petersonite. It's like, oh god. Gotta really talk him out of it.
Yeah, he's just telling people what they want to hear. It's one of the things that pisses me off about internet politics is that people will like pick these positions and read websites and get into arguments on Reddit and never once go to a fucking neighborhood council meeting in their own town to like find out what the politics of their own place are. Like, on the show, the whole 6th episode is about local politics, is about like how you actually make change in the government, and we're just pleading with people to like vote in a local election, but more importantly, go to a fucking meeting. You know, like try to like do like the number of people who affect politics where you live is so small. There's probably like a dozen of them, and you could like just start showing up to city council meetings, yell at them. You could go to a meeting for your local political party.
Yeah.
You go to a Sunrise Movement meeting and actually just like start working on shit. And
or a unionized workplace, or, you know, with union workplace and shit like that.
Because people will ever say, I'm an ANCAP or whatever the fuck, because it's meaningless when you're actually doing real politics. Like, this stuff is like arguing about, like, Star Wars, whether you're, like, a Jedi or a Sith, you know? Like, it has nothing to do with real-world politics.
Okay, but you're basically describing how the Republican Party operates at such an alarmingly effective rate when it comes to changing the outcome of, like, local elections and, like, local initiatives.
Locally, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And also jumping on misinformation trains. Like, one of the things I always have been fascinated by is, like, how quickly they'll...
Private and invite only, that should not be legal. Like, city council meetings should not be considered private or invite only. That's just fucking ridiculous. Like, literally anybody who's a citizen, of that town should be able to go to the city council meetings of said town. Period.
For example, like QAnon, right? Like, when the early stages of QAnon...
Fucking
like,
absurd,
you would have QAnon rallies, and then you'd have, like, a local representative show up who's, like, running for some random fucking local position, and she'd be like, yeah, QAnon is great. Like, she's at a QAnon rally, and she's talking about school choice. So then they would connect one insane, conspiracy theory to a tangible piece of, like, the Republican Party's legislative agenda that goes back to, segregation, segregating schools, which is the most effective way to, like, bring evangelicals out to vote for Republicans. Like, and they do a really good job of, like, trafficking their agenda into that is otherwise, like, very unfavorable and very unpopular agenda into things that have, like, genuine momentum, like QAnon, unfortunately.
And they show up to the meetings and they, like, push that shit through. And
okay, is your fucking town basically ran by a goddamn mafia? Like, what the fuck?
Just, like, don't do it as much. And that's, like, sort of what our plea is to, like, fucking take control of your city. Like, you've got the numbers, you can do it if you start going, and start participating in it. Yeah. Like, can I plug something quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm supporting two local city council candidates, Eunices Hernandez and Hugo Soto Martinez. I think you've had Hugo on the show.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
And we're doing, like, a big rally comedy show for them. If you go to my Twitter, it's on there somewhere. It's in a week and a half. It's a comedy show. One of the dudes from Chapo's going to be on it.
Felix?
Chris?
Or Matt Chris.
Yeah, a little further down, I think. A little further down.
That's pretty cool. I mean, all these type of different things he's kind of basically mentioning is essentially all just different little forms of direct action that could be done. So that was basically ran like a mafia. It's been like this in most places I live down here. Jesus fucking Christ. Ugh, wow. What a blast shithole.
Event, Rally for LA, Terragram Ballroom, 7 p.m. If you go to that website, I just got to shout out bit.ly/rally4LA, a donation to them. These are both, like, DSA endorsed, like, running against the police unions. Like, Hugo is, like, a dude from Unite Here, incredibly important, hospitality union. Eunices, like, helped get Measure J passed in LA, which is, like, criminal justice alternatives, right? Less money for cops, more money for other programs. And, like, they're running for city council, incredibly important, like, positions here in LA. Like, donate $10 to them. It goes incredibly far. But also find, and so please do if you're watching, but also, like, go find a candidate like that in your town or be that candidate. Because these are just two people, right? Like, Hugo literally was, like, probably, working for a fucking union. And now he's, God willing, going to be our next city council person at CD13. Yeah. So, that's real shit. And, like, arguing with people on Reddit about, like, which micro movement.
Ironically, the blacker areas of elected black officials tend to be a bit less fascist than white areas. I wonder why.
Is, like, not politics. Politics is showing up and doing this shit. That's just what I want to say.
Except for cops. Cops are extra fascist in black districts. Well, yeah, I imagine that's where the fascists kind of embody themselves into.
Big fans of Hugo here, by the way. I've had him on before on the stream.
I'm an incredible dude. And Eunices, people have been sleeping on. She's running a tougher race, but she is incredible in CD1. Really, really great candidate, inspiring person. So if you're in LA, come out and say hi.
Look, this is my favorite type of person. Like, you're already doing.
I mean, that's just pretty dope. I mean, that's why I like to call myself a little bit of an optimistic doomer in a lot of ways, because despite all the bullshit, there is optimism that challenges this type of shit. I mean, because, well, the country and the world is, fucked. I mean, there's people that are looking at that and being like, you know what? fuck that. You know, because honestly, yeah, fuck that. You know, and while there's still plenty of people that are still kind of just like, what's the point? There's, you know, more and more people that are saying, you know what, fuck that. You know, so, I mean, that's what especially counts. And as that number continues to rise and grow, the more and more this type of shit, you know, continues to flourish. But actually, was partially remembering I have one more errand that I need to do here real quick. So, take a quick little break, then come back here in a little bit later tonight. It's actually mainly just hitting up my coworker, meet with him real quick about tomorrow, and then meet with Mama real quick. So, I was like, you know what? I felt like I was missing some shit I did today. So, while I got the daylight, I'm gonna get that shit going. Cause, of course, later in the evening, we'll be having a lot more fun. Checking out some other shit that's going on for today. So, I haven't really been keeping my mind too much on the news outside of all this labor shit that we're just tuning into. So, I'm sure there's probably, I've been noticing there's like, oh, Texas, something. So, I guess something happened in Texas. So, I'm gonna probably want to, you know, check that out. But anyway, peace out. Of course, I'll be back later tonight, so toodaloo.